It's now time for us to take our health spot. So I'm going to call on Sister Grace Adesina, who's going to speak to us with the continuation and concluding part of yesterday's message. God bless you.
Good evening, Saints. We're having the conclusion part of the topic diabetes today. Yesterday, we stopped at signs and symptoms. We were able to establish what diabetes is. We were able to establish the types of diabetes. We were able to establish the signs and symptoms, factors that predisposes us to diabetes. And today, we're going to talk about complications that arise from having diabetes. One of the complications that happens is cardiovascular disease. This is the cause of death in about 75% of diabetics. We also have macrovascular disease, stroke, and peripheral vascular disease, that is diseases of the skin that goes deep into the tissues because there's too much sugar in the blood, which gives rise to decay and unhealed wounds. Diabetic retinopathy, blindness that caused by blindness because too much glucose or too much sugar at the back of our eyes do destroy the retina, which is very, very vital to our sight. Glaucoma and cataracts, which affects the eyes. Diabetic neuropathy, which affects the nerves. And I just want to pause to say, if you are diabetic, if you need to do your blood sugar, you do not prick the tip of your fingers. You do it by the side of your fingers. The reason why we say that is because if you keep pricking the tips of your fingers, that's where the nerves are. Unfortunately, some diabetics become blind because of retinopathy at a later stage in life. And if you've damaged the nerves at the tip of your fingers, if you are taught how to read Braille, you can't feel because everywhere here has been damaged. And this is the tip of your fingers that you use in reading Braille. And that's why when we do blood sugar, we prick by the side so that we preserve the nerves at the tip of the fingers. That's just by the way. We also have diabetic foot ulcers. You have wound on the foot that doesn't heal because of too much sugar. And it's a good solution for bacteria to thrive. Therefore, people have smelly wounds because it's too much sugar, it's thick, the bugs are growing, and it doesn't heal on time. We also have a proximal diabetic neuropathy causing painful and weakness of the muscles, especially in the legs, because the arteries are getting affected. And I just want to say that this complication I have said yesterday are a strong risk factor for severe COVID-19 illness. And I did refer you to read the King's Fund report on COVID-19 and the way it's killed a lot of ethnic minorities in Britain, because so many of our brothers and sisters do not know they have high blood pressure or they have diabetes and they contacted COVID, and it's when they die that they are asking the relatives, did you know he's diabetic? Especially our men, they don't like checking up. The same higher incident of non-compliance that we have with prostate cancer is the one we have with high blood pressure and the one we have with diabetes, especially mostly in men. And we need to know what we have or what we don't have and check ourselves up on time. And I just say, if you have parents who are diabetic, right from the age of 30, you need to go annually to have your blood checked so that you know where you stand and how to prevent yourself from having diabetics because you are prone to it. Management. Type 1 diabetes can be managed by insulin and a healthy lifestyle. You know, we went through the type 1 diabetes yesterday. It can be managed by insulin and a healthy lifestyle. Type 2 diabetes permits me to say, at times, when it is an accidental diagnosis, maybe you went to hospital for something else, you've had it and it's undetected, or suddenly you have a test and you discover you have it, you might initially need to be managed by insulin, because at times it's gotten to a stage that is life-threatening and you didn't know. And eventually, you might also be, permit me to say, be managed by oral hypoglycemics, that tablets. But if you keep to a very good lifestyle and you do whatever, I've seen patients who come off both insulin and tablets and they do manage it by diet alone. And obviously, when you are pre-diabetic and you know well on time that you are pre, which I said they don't use that term again, because if you go regularly for checkups, you will know when you are pre, and you adapt your lifestyle, you can prevent yourself from having it. Physical activity, exercise. I cannot overemphasize this. For those even who are on insulin or those who are on tablets and do exercise, I've seen them come off these remedies because they exercise. Exercise, I cannot overemphasize it. We need to exercise. The greatest cause of death in Britain these days is immobility. People eat and they sit down. People do not walk. They don't want to dance. They don't want to walk around. They put it on everything. Immobility is our problem in Britain. Maintaining a normal body weight. Some people put on weight so suddenly, and sometimes you need to find out the reason why you are adding weight, because there are times when it might not be because of a diet, but once you found out the reason why there's a sudden weight gain and it is nothing else, and it is because of diet or your lifestyle, you need to maintain a steady weight. And the only way you can do that is both exercise and a proper diet. Don't let anybody deceive you about taking a tablet. I've seen so many tablets on the social media these days. I've seen so many crash diets that can destroy your kidneys. The only way you can do it is exercise and a healthy lifestyle. Take it from me. People will come to you with all sorts of types of diets that can injure your body. It's just a short fix. The moment you stop using those medications, you are back. Most of the time when you diet and exercise, you tend to maintain the weight. But if you diet alone and you don't exercise, within a year you gain the weight back on. So it is good for us to exercise and watch what we eat. It's suggested that a healthy diet, a Mediterranean diet that uses a lot of vegetables and olive oil and whatever, is very good for us. A DASH diet, which is meant to prevent us from having high blood pressure, which is a dietary advice to stop hypertension, and that also reduces fat and also reduces our body weight, is also recommended. And a low carbohydrate diet. Excess body fat in some tribes is associated with 30% of cases of Chinese and Japanese descent, 60 to 80% in European and African descent. That rings an alarm bell, you know. When we add weight as a European or an African, the percentage or the predisposition to diabetes is quite high, 60 to 80%. So when we lose weight and we have maintain a steady body weight, there's a higher chance that we will be able to control or not have diabetes. 100% of in Pima Indians and the Pacific Islands, our brothers in the Pacific Islands are quite big and sturdy. The sumo wrestlers, those in Hawaii, they are they have dense muscles. And so for them, 100% predisposition to body weight will predispose them to diabetes. And I want to introduce you to something this evening. We use it in healthcare to control diabetes. It's called glycemic index. Glycemic index just shows that all the food that are carbohydrates get classified into three main types. And as a result of that, we assign a percentage for this food based on how good the body can absorb it, how slowly or fast the body can release the energy to the bloodstream, and how the amount of carbohydrate that they have in them. And this is used or recommended for people who are diabetics. And it does work when you keep to them. It shows that a lower glycemic index suggests slower rate of digestion, which is good for the body, absorption of the food, food and a good regulator of blood sugar. We have them in low glycemic diet, which is about 55% or less, which is the lowest one. We have fructose, which is sugary sugar that we get from fruits, which is good for diabetics. This particular one, the low glycemic index one, the 55% is good for diabetics, so take note. Pulses, kidney beans, lentil, peanuts, chickpeas, seeds, sunflower, flax, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, cashew nuts, walnuts, pistachio, when they are raw, not when you fry them. When you fry them, you change the chemical composition and they become very, very calorific when they are raw. And whole intact grain, wheat, millet, oat, rye, rice, and barley. Most vegetables, spinach, kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, carrot, sweet potato. If you keep to that, not Irish potato, sweet potato, they are foods that are low in glycemic index and they are good for diabetics. Then we have foods that have medium glycemic index, which is about 56 to 69%. We have sucrose, which is white sugar. Diabetics, you do not have any business with white sugar or brown sugar or honey. Whole wheat, pita bread, basmati rice. You know, they've said basmati rice is good for you. Unpeeled white and yellow potato, grape juice, raisins, pulses, cranberry juice, banana, peeled sweet potato. I'll say this particular group, which has medium glycemic index, you eat them in moderation because they can spike up blood sugar as well. Foods with high glycemic index, which is about 70% to 100. Glucose, dextrose, corn syrup, white bread, white rice, cornflakes, breakfast cereals, maltose, peeled white and yellow potato. You don't have any business with white rice. Facts. Those of us who are not diabetic are not supposed to be eating white rice. We're supposed to be eating white rice. You know what we call ofada? The unprocessed foods are good for us. Just to put it, we don't have any business with white bread. I've seen a lot of people, even this evening, eating white bread. You are just eating sugar. Yeah, you don't have any business with white bread, even if you're not diabetic. There's nothing in it. That whole meal flour has been bleached. The rice has been bleached. What we have is just sugar, you know. And when we want to go local, you know, our brothers and sisters from the West Indies, they eat a lot of kalalu, which is our tete in Nigeria. They eat a lot of yam, which is quite good in moderation. It's not processed, you know. The problem is with processed, refined, high sugar food. That's the problem. They eat their banana. When the banana is green, it's very good. You can make it into fufu. You can make it into pap, add ginger and garlic to it, and eat it. Our pounded yam, if I tell you the constituents, it's a solid sugary food and shouldn't be touched at all by diabetics. Yes. Gari, which is cassava flour, is mostly half starch, half whatever, belongs to the second group, which is medium glycemic index and has to be eaten in moderation. Amala, which is yam flour, has to be eaten in moderation as well. Yes. And it's pure, pap is pure carbohydrates. And you discover that when you drink it, you are peeing. It's because of the sugary contents as well. And when you want to eat, when I did my MSc 10 years ago, we were trying to convert some African and West Indian food into sizes that will be healthy for our brothers and sisters. And eventually we had to get a nutritionist to do that. If you have to eat any of these swallow food or food, this is your size. Yeah, yes. This is your size. No, this is your size. Anything bigger than this, you are overdoing it. And I think every one of us, either we are prone to diabetes Every one of us, either we are prone to diabetes or not, need to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And so this ends our session on diabetes from the 13th Annual Believers Convention. I have a Bible gem for you which says, "Beloved, I pray that you will prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers." 2 John, 3 John verse 2. God bless you.